Win number 6 on the season, and Zemke rebounds from a very disappointing start to the weekend to grab a second-place finish, his best result of the year. This has been one of the most successful seasons of AMA Pro Racing in the history of Buell Motorcycles. Company founder Erik Buell is a racer through and through. His passion and vision to build an American sport bike has become a great American story. A tale that was born from within another great American story, Harley-Davidson. Recently, I had the opportunity to sit down with Erik at the old farmhouse outside of Milwaukee, where the story of Buell Motorcycles began.
I always wanted to design and build my own stuff. And, you know, when I went to Harley, I had a good career there for 4 years as an engineer, but I wanted to do sport bikes. And I was just obsessed with it. So after being there that many years, I said to myself, I think I have all the tools to do it. I didn't have the money, but I had all the mental tools, but I didn't realize how much money I needed and how long it would take. And I really knew there was a different group of guys out there like myself who were sport bike guys from America that could never buy American. And as much as we like the company Harley and we like anything with an engine and oil, it just wasn't what I'd want to buy. I was looking for somewhere cheap, and I found this old farmhouse with a bunch of broken down buildings and stuff that was abandoned, and found a woman who was, had it and rented it from her really, really, really cheap. It was crazy. It was hard to find people, but I think when you have I think there's a lot of people who like to be part of a creative, a dream type process, and that might have been the right time for it. So I got people to come work for me, and the conditions were crazy. This little garage here that we were building the bikes in, it was heated by an old kerosene stove. And every morning you'd pour a little cup of kerosene in the thing in the back and light it. And I mean, it was crazy. Early on, when things got really bleak, I sat down one day and said, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? Well, okay, can I spend my life here? Well, wait a minute, what if Buell lived after me? Why not think about that? So I said, I'm going to write a 200-year. I'm going to write down what's a 200-year plan, 200-year vision for Buell. So I was sitting here in this little farmhouse, destitute, writing out a 200-year plan. But I had to do that to say, it's all about the future. I was very fortunate to be in this Milwaukee area, which is lots and lots of small machine and fabrication shops. And you could go into places like that and convince them to make 5 of something, 6 of something, and not charge you a fortune because they didn't have high overhead and they didn't have, So that got to me, that also helped build this whole thing as you began to realize you're really part of something that what really makes America work is not big fancy corporations. It's guys in small shops. It's little, and maybe it's 2 people, maybe there's 6 people there. And then as I started to build street bikes and stuff with Buell in the 10 years before Harley got involved, I got some people in the industry to help me, who would be willing to make parts for me, people who would trade parts for bikes.
With his American dream and the help of friends, Erik Buell's vision of building American race bikes was beginning to come together.
Well, the RW750 is that's the first Buell. So if there's any company whose heritage is racing, it's definitely us, because that's what I started the bike to do, is basically to build a bike for myself, a Formula 1 racer to ride, and sell to more people like me. So the first RW750 that we built was this crazy project with an engine that had originally been designed in England by some guys copying a Suzuki and some Yamaha parts and things and putting it together, but basically it was square 4750 2-stroke. And I got one of the engines in one of the original chassis from them when I was working at Harley, because I didn't want to race a Yamaha and a Ducati anymore. So after I got it, that company went out of business, and by the way, the thing didn't work. So I wound up getting everything that they had and then redoing it myself and building a complete new chassis and fixing the things that were wrong with the engine. So I was all ready to launch this as a product, and the year that I announced it, and we had the pictures and it made it into Cycle magazine, the AMA announced that was the last year for Formula 1 bikes. So that was my really rocky start, not only rocky start in racing, but a rocky start to my business, because I was in deep trouble by then, I had invested all that in it and all the time and effort and money, and it was going nowhere.
After the rocky start to his vision of the Buell Motorcycle Company, Erik teamed up with Harley-Davidson to build an American sport bike for the street. But his dream and goal remained the same.
I want to go racing. So how do I do that? And that's been a struggle. And this, when we did it, so when you did the 1125, we basically built an engine that didn't fit any engine configuration. At that time, the Superbikes were 1,000 cc, and I said, I don't care. I need to build an engine with this torque characteristic and this kind of power. I don't know whether I'm going to ever be allowed to go racing, so I'm going to build it. Well, then the rules came to me, Superbikes moving to 1200, and then they came up with this class in current AMA for Daytona Sport Bike, which once again was the idea of doing a formula, but from a very different perspective. All of a sudden it was driven by people who really got the idea of entertainment and put the whole package together. The answer was going to drive a stake in the stand, say we're going to do it, we're going to do it right. We're going to make all these brands competitive with one another. And to me, that's a privateer's dream.
We need to take a quick break, but up next is a look at the R&D side of Buell Racing and what they just might have in their future plans.